All right, guys, here we go. Episode 3 here with Jimmy, aka James O'Hagan. Big mentor of mine when I played at University of Buffalo. When I got there in 2016, Jimmy was already starting center and somebody who took me under his wing and um shoot, fast forward 9 years now. And we're still good buddies and he's killing it right now as the O-line coach at Maine. So Jimmy, how's everything going, dude?
Going good, man. Never thought that we'd be doing a podcast together 9 years later, but um, definitely, a long journey of friendship and being a teammate and everything like that together. So,
Yeah, 100%. How's I'm interested to hear because for you, coming from such like you grew up as like a high level competitive athlete, even as like wrestling and in football, obviously you went on to play D1 at University of Buffalo. But how was that like? I was just at and why I'm asking because I was just at a prospect camp in Canada, and we were with like a lot of high schoolers and stuff, and it's just interesting seeing different mindsets, and I'm sure you see it as a recruiting and in college. But how was like what was your mindset, I guess, even young on as like an athlete and what you wanted to do? Because I'm interested in that.
I think the biggest thing with me that made me a little bit different than everybody else was I never felt like I was this athletically gifted person. And
Hmm.
I think one of the things that I did as a kid that not a lot of kids today, especially just being and so involved in the recruiting aspect of it. I think the biggest thing for me was always knowing where I'm at, like knowing that I'm not the best at some certain things. And I had a lot of, people that kind of shaped my thought process on that. I had a trainer who I worked with from the time I was like probably about 12 to he passed away when I was, um, I think 22. So I worked with him for almost all my high school life, and I attribute a lot of my playing success to him because he kept me grounded. When a lot of times you have guys that are influencing kids that are not grounding them. They're like, "Oh, you're the best. You're this. You're that." And I had the opposite of that. His son is actually the office coordinator for the LA Chargers now. So I always had kind of a like, hey, there's something bigger out there than just Seaford football, which is where I'm from. Um, and I think sometimes a lot of kids on Long Island, you get trapped in a little bubble almost. And I was never affected by that all too much just because I had a really good mentor that helped me see the full picture of, playing and stuff. Um, I was always a super competitive person, whether that be in wrestling or, you know, what, whatever I chose to do. Um, but I always had a good understanding of like I had a lot of hard work to do if I wanted to, you know, um, be successful in college. And really, from a young age, it was always about making the league. Um, from the time I was probably about like 5 years old, like that is something that I really aspired to try and do. Um, Obviously, had everybody has their own limitations. My limitations just come in the athletic form, the mental form. They don't show up as much, which I tell my players all the time. There's a couple different things that attribute you to success in football. One of them being your work ethic, and that's something that I had a real, I can't not an easy time doing, but that was never that was never hard for me. Working hard, it was always um, the hard parts for me were running fast and
Me too.
um, yeah, and that's why I think when you first got to UB, like you had a lot of the same drive and determination that I did, um, as well as some of the same physical limitations that I did. And I always use you as an example, even when I'm coaching now, is like, especially with my position group, the offensive line, like you can be as good as you want to be, like in college, like whether it's Division 1, if you want to be a great offensive lineman in college, especially sometimes when you get to the NFL, it gets a little bit more, not skill based, but there's some God given things that a lot of these guys have.
Yeah, of
But
course, yeah.
I always gravitated towards you when you were a young player as well, just because it was always like, okay, I see a little bit of myself in there, and like I know that I became a good player just by working hard. So it really wasn't. I think that's where my success always stems from, is my ability to grind a little bit harder than everybody else, when it comes to like the physically, mentally tough parts of the game. Um, yeah.
How was, I know you said that came easy to you, like working hard. Like, uh, I don't know. I guess we're kind of in a similar boat of that. But like, how do you, if you're dealing with players and stuff who you know can work harder, like you, how do you try to connect with them to get them to like unlock that? You know what I mean?
I think that one of the things that I try to do with all of my kids is like, what is their motivating factor? Because something that
Hmm.
motivates me might not motivate somebody else. Like, and that really comes with getting to know these kids on a level that's more than just like a superficial level. Um, oh, sorry, the video cut out.
Oh,
There we
you're
go.
good.
My bad. Um, More than just a superficial level, just getting to know them as people. Like, um, we have kids, like even kids I had last year, like what fires these kids up to compete. Um, and like some kids get fired up by other people in other areas, like, hey, I want to be better than this guy. Like I was high school buddies with this kid. Um, our right tackle last year, his teammate was actually at UB, and I would always bring up, I'm like, oh, Henry's working really hard, man. Henry's doing this, Henry's doing that. So it's just about finding the right buttons to push. Um, because I was able to get coached hard, people always thought that that's the way that I was like supposed to be coached. But like I've always preferred the like, hey, you're doing this really well. Like we just need to improve this a little bit more.
Hmm.
And I think that, and it's getting to know the kids, sometimes. And like I've been coached and I've coached kids in different ways. I think just finding what these kids like really care about. Like not every kid that you have is like my best friend in college. Like he did not care about the NFL at all. Mono, like he didn't
Hmm.
care at all. And like, what motivated him was the brotherhood aspect of it. Like it was the going out there with your teammates and having a time together on the field, and then having a time off. So that's how you get to know each of these kids in different ways. And I think when you really look at them as people, it's like, okay, how do I get this kid to be his best? Um, Whether that be like on field stuff, off field stuff. I always think that that's it, being an individual coach as well, as like I got 15 kids I got to worry about now, and it's like all of them are different. And a lot of times with O linemen, especially, I think people kind of group them together as like, oh, they're all the same kid. And there's so many different varying personalities and ethnic backgrounds and things like that. You always got to kind of keep in mind is like, okay, these guys are 18 to 22 years old. Some of these guys 23, but
Yeah.
it's about I think you like relationship based stuff is always the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it helped you too, like being a multi-year captain, like and you were somebody on the team, like you were a player, but you had that leadership. Like some guys listen to you more than coaches kind of thing. So like I'm sure you got to see maybe like indirectly, but kind of almost trial and error into how to connect with guys then, right? Like that's very similar to what you do as a coach.
My leadership style for my freshman, well, because I was like an on and off again captain my sophomore year, like because we didn't have like the selections that we did wind up
Oh,
having.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, like my understanding of leadership completely changed from my sophomore year to my senior year. I think my sophomore year, I think always a big part of football leadership is always do you contribute to the team winning or no? Like, am I on the field? Like, it's always one thing when a guy says something to you and he's like not really playing and things like that. And obviously, like, I even preach that now. Like, I don't care if you're playing lead in what way you can, but it's about knowing your standing. And it's
Yeah.
always hard to go in there with older guys, and having them kind of respond to you that way. So my leadership style differed. My leadership style with you was way different than it was with Mono. Um, when I was in college and everything like that, there's different levels to it. And I'm even dealing with that now because you have freshmen coming in for like summer training and things like that. and my relationship with them is far different than the relationship I have with the kids that I've been with for the last 6, 7 months. Um, so it's always about, I think there's a level of respect factor that you have to kind of instill in some of these guys from the start. Like, hey, you have to listen to me because I
Yeah.
know for you. But there is a level of I think a lot of coaches now, they complain about this being the Y generation, but that doesn't really bother me all too much because like a lot of these kids, they just want to know, like they just
Yep.
want um, they want to have an understanding of why you're doing things. And I think that I think one of the big things that I think about is when you're not challenged as a leader, but when you're um, when you get questions as a leader, how do you respond to that? I think is always an interesting thing. Is like some guys are the old school, like I've worked with guys that are old school, like um, Ohio State guys and everything like that, and they're like a yes or no sir guy. And some kids are not like that, so it really is, I think, finding that balance a little bit between, hey, I need to command respect, but at the same time, I have to give these kids a reason to uh, earn my respect to regard, because I'm in a leadership position now as a coach. But I think as a player, the thing that helped me most now is learning how to earn a leadership role, even though I'm in a leadership position. Um, and I think it changes just based off of a lot of different things, and your knowledge, obviously. And I studied a lot when I was a player, probably a lot more than the regular player would study in terms of the technical aspect of it and things like that. So I think it really comes with showing your ability to, like, hey, I can help you. Like that you should listen to me in terms of, hey, you need to listen to me. I think is one of the things that I've learned about leadership along the way.
Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, because then when you see somebody practicing like something just to an excellent level and it shows on the field or whatever avenue they're in, then you're like, yeah, like this guy, if he says something to me, like he knows what he's doing, he does it. So like I'm gonna try to listen to him. And then that why what you're saying with the Y generation, it's funny because even some of the guys I help with like nutrition who are younger, they're always asking like, why is this in like what about this food or this? And but it's kind of like you were saying, it can be like a challenge, I guess, but it's fun kind of answering it, especially in whatever aspect, especially if you have a pretty like wide wealth of knowledge. It's fun to kind of like dive into it, and then they're like, you see their eyes like, oh shit, there's even more behind what he's telling me. When they think it's just surface level, then and then whatever some line technique, you're like, no, this goes back here, like this is a deep history behind it.
Yeah, like I think one of the things is when I think being a player and being a coach, one of the differences is like I'm a teacher. Like then I
Hmm.
was just it's not like being a TA, but that's kind of how it is. Like there's always a little bit more of a personal, like that when I was a player, it'd be like, Jimmy, like what am I supposed to do? Like it's more of a hey, help me out type deal sometimes, because they're like, I can't do this. And then like as a coach, you don't get that response as much to the way you coach. They'll just be like quiet about it because like even if they have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah,
um
yeah, you gotta ask like, do you guys understand what I'm saying?
that's part of my thing is like sometimes I find myself telling the kids like now is like, ask me why, because I'll have the answer. I think the more you are a perfectionist with your craft, like my craft is the offensive line techniques and things like that. I think the more confident you are with answering questions, I think that's another big thing is I'm confident in what I'm teaching. So I can answer any question that ever pops up. There really is never a stupid question because I've asked some stupid questions when I was a player. But don't get me wrong, like Coach A all the time being like, all right, like but yeah, I think that's one of the things is like I feel like I'm an expert at my craft at this point in terms of, not that I can't get better either, because I love when guys ask me questions that maybe I don't have the answer to, because that forces me to be better um, as a coach and really as a person too. Is like I need to make sure that I'm teaching these kids the best, the most efficient techniques. As a player, there was a little bit more trial and error because like if if I didn't do my job on a specific practice play, there is a different connotation behind that. And as a coach, my guys just kind of trying stuff. So you always have to kind of establish as a coach, I think a baseline.
Yeah.
Um, and then when you get more comfortable with the kid, I think you give them the ability to freelance a little bit more. But I think that's something that as a player was a little bit different. Like my job's on the line now a little bit more than, like, not that it's not when you're a player, but
Of course.
coaches
Yeah.
come and go, and I like, no matter where you're at, coaches always come and go, and it's just with the players, they have a little bit more sense of stability, I think, sometimes. So it's just, that's why I always want to continue to just keep growing, um, and getting better at it. Because if you look at offensive line play from 1999, which is not that really not that long ago, it's completely different than today in 2026. Even if you look at 2010, offensive line play is completely different. So it's always about being up to date so that you give these kids the best information possible to, like, you know, succeed, and really for you to succeed as well. Because any coach that comes in here and tells you that it's not a little bit about you, they're lying about it too. Because all coaches are competitive, or else they wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, that's kind of how I think about the leadership portion of it. Is I'm an instructor right now, like, my physical time is obviously for football is over. So it's about, with these kids, just earning their respect as a person of knowledge. And I think that's something that my first couple years of coaching, it's like the respect that I got as a player right away because I was a good player, but they don't know if you're a good coach. So it's always about, restarting kind of when you go into new roles and new assignments, and showing that you have a conceptual understanding that will benefit these kids. And that was different than when I was a player, for sure, in the leadership role, because I could just kind of lead by example. It's so much harder to lead by example, um, from the physical aspect of it as a coach than it is a player, because they can watch me pass that. But at the end of the day, I'm not setting on a shade or a 2 eye anytime soon. I can tell them, hey, this is how you should do it, but they don't see me actually do it. So something that I had actually did in the spring this year was, I filmed myself going through bull hops, and I was like, hey, this is how it's supposed to look like, and things like that. So sometimes I try to put the helmet back on every once in a while.
That's good to do. That was kind of what I was interested in asking because you were at a school previously, now you're at Maine. So it's like, how do you, and we're talking about leadership, but it's like, how do you build that? You get there in January, you want to build that as fast as you can. And of course, like, your O-line acumen is super important. And then obviously you still train really hard, like in the weight room and jujitsu and other things. So you have the physical aspect, you're still very much in shape, which I think players really do respect and think is important when their coach can, practice what they preach, like you doing a hop. So like, I don't know, walk me through kind of how that's been with like trying to connect with those guys in a
you,
short
you
time period.
you mentioned jujitsu, and I think, like, doing jujitsu has benefited me in more ways than, know, damn it, more ways than I can probably talk about. It gives you that physical standing. I think that people, it's not a fear of you, but it's like, oh, okay, he's about that life. He's about being a tough guy. He's not just preaching it. And I think
Mhm.
that being a like a coach now, it's like, how do I still show these guys that, like, okay, like, if push came to shove, he could suit up today. Like, and I think there's a physical aspect to coaching, um, that I think people look at, and it's what sets you apart. Not every coach in the country is like, I just got my purple belt last year. Not every coach in the country is a purple belt. So that
Yeah.
kind of does set me apart from, just some of the other guys out there. And I think it always gives you a little bit of standing, because then they'll ask you about things outside of football. Be like, hey, coach, because I'll talk about jujitsu a bunch with my guys and stuff like that because I like doing it. And this is where what I'm at, like, kind of touched on before was, um, like, getting to know your players outside, and like they see that you're not just this robot machine that's like, oh, football, football, football. They're like, oh, he likes to do stuff too, and that's why I
Yeah.
kind of try to bring my likes and stuff into the room, because then it gets them more comfortable with, like, with what they like doing and stuff like that. Like, we always we I try to talk with the guys, and I want them to come in and talk to me after workouts and stuff like that, and just chop it up and stuff. And I think by mixing jujitsu, a physical sport that is physically demanding and it's physically respected, I think helps me out when it comes time for, they'll be like, the first thing they'll hear about me most of the time, is that I do jujitsu, at least a good amount of the time. So, um, that automatically kind of gives me some standing and things like that. They're like, okay, he's kind of about that, and our coach is kind of a psycho.
which
So I
is
think
good.
that, yeah, it is. I think you do need a little bit of a physical presence when it comes to just the job, and especially O line. I think not putting down any other positions, but in this regard, but I think with O line, I think there is a level of physical, like there is a little bit of the masculine urge to just like you got to move somebody against their will. Like, is my coach willing to put his face in it and everything like that? So it is kind of just making sure they know like, okay, my coach should still get after it and everything.
Yeah, like it's always fun seeing like a coach gets in his stance and just has some guy hold a bag and he just fucking nails him and you're like, all right, like this guy's
Yeah,
got some power, like it's sick.
yeah, we do like a good deal of like contact prep, and we'll do over
Yeah.
unders and stuff like that, and I'll mess around with the guys, and they all get fired up and everything like that. So
How was it balancing and like transitioning? Like when did you fully start doing jujitsu? Because I know obviously you were a New York State champion in wrestling, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
so like you got a background.
when I went to FAU 2 years ago now, there was a jujitsu place around the street, and like combat and fighting has obviously always been a part of my just general makeup.
Yep.
Um, so I got into it just with right across the street, and then I trained at a place called Kill Cliff, which is a UFC gym in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And those guys kind of like put me on it, and like when I went to the Kill Cliff, those are like some top flight athletes. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, uh, Michael Chandler trains there. Gilbert Burns, some really high level grapplers. And some guys I rolled with, some guys I didn't. Kamaru Usman's another guy that was there as well. So it showed me I'm like, oh my god, I'm not really as tough as I think I am. So, and now a little bit of that was striking, which I recently started dabbling in a little bit. But overall, like I've been mainly grappling my whole life, and I was like, man, I got a lot to learn about this sport and just grappling as a whole. Like wrestling can only carry me so far, and it's always like that physical, I want to be a tough guy always. Our rule number one in our offensive line room is always don't be soft. So like, how do I make sure even though I'm getting older and I'm not maybe competing at the same level as I was, like, how do I make sure that I'm not a physically soft person? Um, and that's kind of where the challenge came from, and where I kind of, started thinking seriously about like, hey, maybe I should start taking this jujitsu stuff serious. And then I wound up going to a gym in New York last year, Soka, and I train there when I go home to Long Island. I was just there for the last week and a half, training and everything like that. So,
Oh,
um,
that's cool.
yeah, no, it's definitely fun, and it's just it doesn't take you away from the sport. Like I don't know if I'd attribute to that. It just when like football season gets long and it gets challenging, and having a life outside of football, I think sometimes like whether it's like an hour, um, I think it helps me mentally like in the season more so than anything else. I think it helps me just stay locked in, to be honest with you, um, just on things that I can do and everything.
I feel like hobbies, and it's tough because like when you get so, I don't know, we're both the type of people when we do something, we just go full bore, like send ourselves into it. But then like having a hobby like that or something outside of like your main thing, I feel like is so like refreshing to the mindset because then you come back in and like I don't know, it's like when you flip the pillow and it's cold on the other side kind of thing. Like it's
100.
just like you're just it's just you're doing the same thing you were right before jujitsu, but then after you're like, okay, like I feel whatever next day or later in the day, you feel just a little bit like lighter in the brain. You can think.
100%. It's like almost like a reset every time I go to jujitsu. Like, and it's challenging physically, but you get to a point where like you roll as hard as you want to. Like, so if I'm like really banged up or anything like that, like I can figure out ways to still train and not kill myself. But I think overall, like it's a great reset at the end of my days. In the season, it's obviously a lot harder to get to,
Hmm.
um, but um, I think in the off season, especially, it gives me something to strive for. That's like a personal goal. Like I want to get my black belt. Like that's something that's going to be important to me in the next couple of years. Like I got my purple belt in around 2 years or so, which is pretty quick.
Yeah.
I've been a purple belt for the whole last year. I got my blue belt in 7 months, and I got my purple belt 4 months after my blue belt. So, um, and it's good to be talented at something too. I'm not saying I'm a like the grappling god or anything like that, but it's something that I'm geared towards.
Yeah, you're very good at it, so that makes sense.
Uh, so, I think having something. I don't even think sometimes. I think it's finding something that you enjoy, but you see success. Like I think that's something that's important to me, um, and I always try to branch out to different stuff each year. I've been texting you a lot about reading and everything like that, and started
Yeah.
that journey here. I've read like 30 books, 30 something books in the last since I guess really end of February, March. Um,
It's
so
flying.
yeah, I've been kind of grinding with that, and that's also helped me in the process of coaching and everything like that. I read a lot about generals and things like that, and people don't really change over time.
Yeah.
And getting people and being when you're leader, and we talked about leadership before, it's like they're dealing with some of the same issues that like college football coaches deal with, man. Like it's not like um, it's not this just brand new thing. Leadership. It's been happening since the dawn of time, and you pick up different things. Like I said last week, I was reading Hannibal, um, and I think something that I kind of learned, or kind of maybe not learned, but kind of doubled down with me was like morale of the troops is a really important thing, and I want to grind these guys as hard as they can go, but at the end of the day, like you got to have those guys operating like at a high level. So it's like these different things, like all these different passions outside of football, have like really contribute to success for my guys. So, and that's always about me getting better. Um, and jujitsu, whether it be jujitsu, reading, anything like that, making myself a well-rounded person, I think is always really important. Uh, I'm reading about ancient Japanese samurai. Like, how does that go into college football? Like, and it does, and it does, which is crazy. It's like this happened 1,400 years ago, and still holds relevance today.
What was it, Miyamoto Musashi or Book of Five
Yeah,
Rings? What are you reading?
Miyamoto Musashi. I
Okay.
he speaks about how he talks about how you can't just be a great warrior. You have to be you have to be well rounded in all these different areas. Like your study ability needs to be as good as your swordsmanship. And I think because he talks about the five different scrolls: the earth, wind, um,
Yep.
and everything like that. So I think that that's something that hit home with me. And I actually spoke to our players about it a couple of weeks ago. And some of those guys have taken a liking to it too. And um, I think it goes a long way when it comes from somebody, not me, saying things like that. Um, Being well rounded. I want my guys to be well rounded. I don't want them to be, just football players, and uh, talk about that a lot. Like I want them to be good people to start with, act right. Was our principles, which are the same that I preach now: act right, be on time all the time, play and practice hard every day, and be a finisher. And I think that makes you a well-rounded person. Um, so my guys just keep preaching that with them and talking about stuff like that with them, and I think they have fun with it.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, I was, because this weekend I was with Dom Johnson in Windsor at like the Spark. He had his first like coaching camp, and they were talking about, we're helping youth and then like high school players. And then he was talking about kind of what you're saying, like being well-rounded and having other things besides just the sport. And I think that was like, I don't know how it was for you, but for me as a player, I didn't do a great job staying well-rounded. Even I remember you were like, "Are you going to go out with us and like hang out and like just simple stuff?" But it's funny because you sometimes, you think just maximum effort and focus is going to be the best way, but then sometimes less is more kind of thing too, which is counterintuitive to the motivated individual.
Yeah, like I always remember, like especially with you, is like especially with the O line group, getting O linemen around other O linemen outside of the football sphere is super important to me. I think it's one of the biggest things that I think you lose today with some of the guys is like, man, like I remember like after workouts on Friday, the best times I've ever had at football were going to Glenn Mullineach's and playing Can Jam after lift,
Yeah.
like, and just sitting out there all day with the boys. Um, that's what you remember. That's what is so great about football. And I think sometimes these kids like today is they think of football as like okay, I have to grind. And yes, you do need to grind. It is hard. Everybody's working hard. But at the end of the day, going back to what I spoke about before, morale, like, am I happy doing with what I'm doing? Like, is this just a job or is this something that I actually enjoy? And even when you hear um, the most successful businessmen talk about things like this is like, are you enjoying this thing or are you just kind of going through it because you're good at it and it's something that you think that you need to do? Like, always make your like I always believe in making yourself like just have fun with the thing. Like, you don't get the memories with your guys back. And I always talk about this to my players as much as I want them to be locked in because my livelihood depends on them being locked in for a majority of the time. Like, they're going to be better is if they're connected on a different level other than football. And that doesn't mean you have to go out and drink 20 beers with the guys, but go around, be around the guys, man. Like, um, don't waste your time in college just thinking about the future. Be present, like hang out with your guys, like be present with your guys, like, and obviously like you try to do that as coaches too. Like you try to be around the other coaches and have morale and be humans a little bit, not so much robots. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that I always try to preach to my guys, and something that I was a firm believer as a player as well. Is like, let's enjoy this thing, man. Like we're not just doing this to, like, what are you doing this for? It's like you talk about why. Sometimes it's like, am I just doing this just to kind of check a box, like, or am I doing this because I'm loving the process, like, and sometimes the process is going and hang out with your friends. Um, so I think that's something that's really important for kids today. Is like you guys can like you can only do so many reps and sets of things before it kind of becomes just you know run down and like have fun. Like, it's all right, bro. Like we're gonna play all these games anyways. There are 12 Saturdays that we're gonna play football games, and hanging out with your guys is an important part of doing well on Saturdays. And enjoy it. Like, it goes so fast. Like, as a player who's not playing anymore, um, I think you miss that the most. And I try to tell my guys all the time. And sometimes they're like, yeah, coach, I gotta do this, but um, like don't lose track of that. It's definitely a special time. So
Exactly. I'm working with a few guys who are playing college right now, and then they're like, because they got their workouts with their coach, and then they've got whatever PR, like player-led practices and all this stuff, and then they're like, all right, my second workout of the day, like at the gym, like what should I be doing? And I'm just like, like take a breath. Like if you're doing anything extra, do you do like O-line drills? Okay, that's good to do. Besides that, be in the training room, I get it, get in some stretching and mobility and then like go rest and like have fun with the guys as long as albeit you're working as hard as you can and are in a
yeah,
good spot. But like this is before camp. Like don't burn yourself out before you even enter camp. Like you've gotta go enjoy time with the boys, especially for the seniors out there. It's like you gotta that summer training before camp is like some of the best times you could have.
100%. And like I think, and there's so many hours in the day that you can actually get extra work and still enjoy
Yeah.
your game. Like, something that I used to do as a player, is we'd have our lift in the morning. I'd come back I'd go lift, eat breakfast, take an hour and a half nap, wake back up, go hit another lift on like auxiliary stuff. Like, I'd always hit extra
Yep.
back, I'd always hit extra core because those muscles really don't burn out the same way
Mhm.
as like, your legs and things like that. And having a strong trunk obviously important for a line. But then at that point, it's 3 o'clock. Like, what else am I gonna do? Like, and you can do that every single day and still have time with your guys, like,
Yep.
and rest and recover and things like that. And I think the more hard work you put in, and the more it becomes normal. I think the it's just like a muscle like anything else. Your aptitude for hard work always goes up the more hard work you put in. So you're able to do more stuff. So it's like, just are you working hard to get better, or are you just working hard to say I'm working hard too, is like another thing that it's like, am I going out here achieving something, or am I going out here just to say, hey, I'm getting all this extra work in the off season? Like you're gonna be able to just be a technique freak, bro, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. I was another thing I was thinking too is like for you, I was interested like how is the transition going from like a player to then becoming a coach? Because like a lot of I don't know, I think a lot of us as players think we can maybe coach, and I've been there, but like it's like you see how much work they're putting in, you're like, I don't know, like I don't know about that. Like that's they live at the facility. Like, how was that transition for you?
I think it's like it's like I didn't understand it. Like I was in that boat too when I first started. Like I thought it was just like, oh, I know all this technique, like I'll be a great coach. Like
Yep.
being a coach is so much more than just knowing things. Like there's so many things that go into coaching, whether it be um like recruiting, like there's a whole other world out there. Like you have no idea it exists until you're an actual coach and you're like, oh my God, like 90% of my time's not even spent like
Yeah, it's the
thinking about
guys.
my players, like thinking about the next class of players and everything like that. So it's like, you know, it's definitely a challenge. Everything has its own challenges, and like I said before, it's like a muscle. Like right now, I've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years, so my muscle for coaching is kind of expanded to where I can do all this stuff. But when I was first started as a GA, like man, I messed a lot of things up, and I think one of the reasons players wind up stop doing it is because they kind of lose that that edge. Like you're getting better at different things. Like you're getting better at the recruiting part of it. You're getting better at like talking to parents, like things like that. Like that's where your hard work comes in. Like um as a coach, like I know what I know and I'm going to teach what I teach. Like what sets me apart, like am I going to recruit the best class of kids that I possibly can, and then that goes into the evaluation process. Like there's coaches too that are good at different things as well. Like
Yep.
some you get you recruiting coaches who are a little bit better at that. They lack somewhere in scheme, or but there's always like a what do you want to be great at still type of deal, I think is something that as a coach was definitely a like there's a lot of facets of coaching. You're in charge of a lot of people, and part of it's being an Uber driver, part of it's being a parent, part of it's being a recruiter. Uh, so you. I think when players do it, they just think of the football piece of it because that's all they've had to worry about. When coaching, you're worried about every single kid, and you're worried about them all the time. And are they doing, you know, are they doing what you want them to do sometimes, and trying to get them to do things that they don't want to do is like a completely different muscle that you have to kind of stretch as a coach. And we talked a little bit about that at the beginning, obviously, but that's way different than just getting in the weight room and work and just doing a ton of sets, like which is something that I was really good at, but the recruiting piece of it, like, oh my God, am I good at this? Like, or how do I become good at it? I think it's just always finding the new challenge. It's like, I think sometimes players get comfortable just knowing what they know and not trying to challenge themselves in different ways in the coaching sphere.
Yeah, they don't want to plateau. Like,
Yeah.
so if somebody's watching, they're like, how do you become like a Division 1 coach, like an O-line coach? Like, how does that even like is because I don't think there's a blueprint out there, but like, like what is like, how does
Luck.
that even go?
um,
Luck, yeah.
I think just having stuff that sets you apart from people, I think is always like, and especially with O line, like there's a lot of coaches out there that don't like you think that they know all these X's and O's. O line is a way different position, man. Like sometimes coaches don't even know like what makes a great O lineman or a great O line coach. Thankfully, I've worked for a lot of guys that have been really good O line guys, and they've seen that quality in me and have hired me. I think helps. And having guys reach out for you, and that's the relationship building piece of the coaching world, that I think is the most important. Is like they always talk about who you know. Yeah, it's not just who you know. It's can that person put their name out there for you. Um, I think is the biggest thing in coaching is like, um, is this guy going to go risk his neck for me because it's his reputation, not just mine? and showing value in different ways, doing what you're asked to do as a coach a little bit. And we talked about the Y generation. There's not a lot of Y in GAing sometimes. And I've GA'd for a lot of great people. I've GA'd, worked for a lot of great people, man. And a lot of them have shown me, how to kind of be a great coach. I worked for Ed Warner, who's an unbelievable offensive line coach. Was the O-line coach at Ohio State. You pick up things from him. I worked with Matt Stansfield, obviously, at Buffalo. Like, learned a ton from him. We operate on a lot of the same technical side of it too. Like, finding guys that you can be around that are not just going to push you, not going to just going to teach you, but will help you as well, as I think another thing too. And I got extremely lucky with a lot of the people that I've had the opportunity to work for and be around. I think was one of the biggest things I was thankful to have as a coach. Tom Herman was a guy who was really instrumental in getting me a job at LIU to be an O-line coach. Put his neck out there for me, and Coach Cooper as well hired me and believed in me and everything like that. And so I think that that's something, is just like keep finding niches too that separate you. And we talk about jujitsu a lot. And does it have anything to do with football? No, but when people look at that and they see that, they're like, okay, this guy's tough. So I think that
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I definitely benefit from is um, having niches, like having things that make you separate you from people. Not don't just be a cookie cutter. And that's part of the deal about going outside of your means and being like, how do I learn the most, or how do I show value? And it's just like a lot of businesses and everything like that too. It's like whether you're doing finance or anything like that. Like, I think sometimes when you look at football coaches, like, oh, you coach football? Like, yeah, but it's a lot like the regular rest of the jobs that you guys work. Probably a little bit more hours, but
Yeah. No, it
but
makes, yeah, it's relationships and then obviously connections. And then I think like a lot of what it comes down to for like what you're saying is like being yourself too. Like
yeah,
you're able to, like you're not trying to, I think it's like that with everything. Like, but it's, you're not trying to copy anybody. Obviously, you learn from all these different great people around you, but like you create your own, you know, I don't know, like kind of philosophy of a blend of what you believe and what you've learned from others. And that's, that's what sets you apart. That's why people want to bring you in because it's like, okay, there's all these different things that like are value added compared to just some chalk regular person who's, maybe whatever same age or stuff, but there's different
authenticity,
factors. Yeah,
like the biggest thing is
you
like,
can't fake that.
and it doesn't just go with getting jobs; it goes with keeping jobs and with the players. Like, if I go in there and I pretend to be this fake guy, like, they're never going to listen to me. Like, that will never happen. Like, if they think I'm being something that I'm not. And I think that's one of the things that you're always challenging yourself to be better, and things like that. But I think just being you, like, I've got a different personality than a lot of people, and if I was just trying to be like everybody else, like, it would never work. So just being myself and coaching these kids like I want to be coached a lot of times, and then if obviously changing it a little bit for each individual, like, um, and things like that, and the adaptability piece of it is a big deal. But I'm always going to be me, and I'm always going to be myself when it comes to coaching, because like kids see right through that. And like, I
Yeah.
mean, you right, like you know the coaches that you can kind of see through and be like, oh, are they really about this, or are they just telling me to be about it so that they continue with their agenda? And I think that's always something that I pride myself on, is being an authentic person, being a real dude. And I think a lot of times, sometimes you lose that along the way with some of the guys. And what got you there in the first place? It's like you try to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
And
I felt the same thing with like creating my like I don't know, business as a coach now. It's like I'm still like whatever I say or do or like I'm just trying I don't know, just being myself. Like it's if I'm advising somebody whatever their goal is, it's like I'm these are all things either I've done or studied or it's like I'm not making anything up here. Like um or even for trying to figure out what to post and I'm sure with recruiting it's similar to you, like reaching out to people. It's just, you're just trying to, be yourself and I think people, like we were saying, can see that and respect that.
100%, I like. when you do something you're passionate about too, I think it makes it real easy to be
Yeah.
yourself. And we talked before about the why part of it, but like is if your why is real strong in what you're doing, I think a lot of times it makes it really easy to be authentic. Like I want to be a great O-line coach. I want to be the best O-line coach in the country. Like it's a strong why. And like, as long as I continue to, challenge myself, like, and not lose track of the things that got me into good positions in the first place, I think I'll always be okay, whether we have good seasons or bad. And I think, just continuously challenging myself is another thing that I've always got to, try and do. Um, and I think that it's not so much like the strive for greatness, but there's got to be a level of, hey, I want to be great. Like, and the complacency part of it is why you see some coaches fall out of it, and they've achieved so much. And um, that's why I like like our staff is a young, hungry staff, and that's one of the things I love about working at the University of Maine is we've got a great football staff, man, and it's easy to be myself around good people. And I think that that's another thing with success in coaching is like um, being around a good group of guys,
Yeah.
and being around head coaches that allow you to be yourself and coach your way, and obviously within the limits of the culture and the team. And our head coach does a phenomenal job of like just preaching culture, but also being a person of character and things like that. So I think that that's always really important when it comes to just coaching in good environments too is another big thing.
Yeah, you're the sum of what the five people around you most. Like that's
Yeah,
so obviously being in a building with elite individuals who have similar goals is that's it's so nice to to be in that
yeah, it is.
competitive environment. Like I felt like that this weekend. I was around a bunch of entrepreneurs and different guys who are just really trying to, do the best in whatever field they are. And it's just like that like rubs off on you. And you're like, yes, like
100%.
that's it feels nice.
No, it's
Which
it's
is
definitely it's definitely awesome. And like you're only as strong as your weakest link in the line room, and you're really only as strong as your weakest link in coaching as well. So
absolutely. How would so when you first got into coaching, was the goal to be the best O-line coach in the country, or how did that kind of
uh,
evolve for you?
I think when I first got into GAing, I was looking for some sort of direction.
Yeah.
Like I lost football, like tore my ankle and everything like that, pretty good, and kind of knew that football was over, and like like got in as a GA at Buffalo, thanks to honestly you, and a lot of the guys that were there already. And I remember when I went and talked to the team after you guys asked me to come speak. That's something that really was like, oh man, like I might be good at this. But I don't think it fully formulated into like what I wanted to do with coaching until I was my second year GAing. I really put like my first year for I think at any time you're doing something new for the first time, there's going to be some learning curves and everything like that. Um, and I think for me, it was like I found the passion and the love for the coaching world in that second year that we had together at UB. While I was a coach, I think that kind of built over time. It wasn't so much like with me playing in the NFL and everything like that. Like that was just like a goal I've always had. Like, and I never had to do any reevaluation on that goal because it was just that was always the mission. It was like, and it's always something that I was passionate about. And then when you lose it, you kind of have to think, like, oh my God, like what am I going to do now? And then over time, I think that that shows to you and everything like that. And I think that showed really my second year of GAing is like I started taking more care for like the little details and the little things, and that's when I really started to feel like myself again. And anybody that obviously anybody that gets done playing football, there's always that like period of like indecision and indecisiveness. I think with a new career and a new journey is like I've done this for 20 years. Like it's always kind of a shock. It's always like jumping in a cold pool. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And thankfully, because of people in my playing career, like I was able to kind of get my foot in the door in area where like I was extremely lucky to start um, at Buffalo and everything like that. So I think that was something that over time it developed probably a little more slowly than than necessarily a like NFL type goal when I was a player.
Yeah, that makes sense. They grow. It's interesting you said like when you talked to the team, like that was almost what like the that was like the almost like the spark. What like even before you were coaching, like I was just talking to Rich Miller, who played at UB. I don't know if you played with Rich. I think he might have came right after you, but he was a
The year,
linebacker.
yeah, I
Okay, yeah.
remember. Yeah, they used the year right after me.
Okay, yeah. So he went and he talked. He was just talking about last week. He was talking to Kansas, and he kind of I was talking this weekend, and he's like, "Man, I like." And all the guys responded well to it, and I could just tell like there was something about it that like hit home with him. Kind of like what you're saying now. So like, how did that go? You just kind of knew in your gut, like like that, just like
Well,
connected, or what? What was that feeling?
well, I got when I got there again, like I was like when they asked to speak, I was like, and like I had to think about a PowerPoint and then think about this and that. I was like, the thing I really do love about football is being around the guys. And then I felt like I was around the guys again. I was like, oh my god, I could do this. Like this is like I was like, I never even thought about this because I wanted to join the military, but my ankle kind of limited me on that as well. And I was like, oh my God, like I really have no idea. So I was working at a moving company and things like that. And then I got the call again when Coach Leipold asked me to, come speak. I was like, I was like, I always talked about doing this, but then when football ended, I was like kind of sour towards football a little bit. And then I got around the guys again, and it was like, I got around the guys again, and I was like, this is where I feel at home the most. Like, not a place. It's always around the people and around the football guys. I think is the biggest thing for me. Like, and I got around them again. I started talking about football again. And I was like, man, like, I miss this. Like, and then that's where I was like a little bit more learned to love it though, because like it's just a little bit different. Like I said before, but no, that was definitely the like you just like it just feels like a place of comfort. I think a little bit being around football guys. I think that was something that
100%.
I think that was one
Yeah.
of the like hit me again. I was like, oh my god, I'm around my friends again. Like whether I know them or not, it's just like they've been through the same things that I went through in college, and maybe not at UB because when we were going around there, I'm going to talk like an old timer right now, but I was going through there when they had no indoor and they had no new weight room. I live in South Lake, like so it is a little bit different. And Coach Leipold always talked about leave it better than you found it. So
Hey,
uh,
you guys did that.
definitely definitely was seeing those guys and the success you guys had too was definitely something too. Like I knew I was probably needed to get back into coaching too when you guys were playing the MAC championship in 20 and I was throwing my shoe across the room. So um, yeah,
Oh,
that it's
good
just
old
like
Mac championship.
yeah, the good old MAC championship I went to for both of us. My God, well, own one for me, but it was really 0
Yeah.
2 because I had a lot invested in that one.
Yeah, it was well, really own one for me because I didn't play in the first one. So, but it was painful either way. But isn't I've thought too is like and you're reading a lot of history, so maybe you thought this, but like 500, 1,000 years ago, like all these football players were these are just military individuals
Yeah,
who just love just going on combat tours and just
yeah,
like
it's
I
the
feel
same
like you know
same
what I
thing.
mean? It's the same thing, right? Like like not to
It's just
disrespect any military, but it's like that's like what that's what it comes down to is the camaraderie, working hard, like sacrificing yourself. Like it's just like or like putting like you put yourself out there. Of
the risk and the sacrifice obviously is a lot different,
course, different.
but
Yeah.
it's the same. I think it's the same type of motivated individual.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, you go back thousands of years. There's a need for like life and things like that. But
Hmm.
I think it's definitely, and that's why you see a lot of really good football players come from military backgrounds and things like that. I think is like we played with military guys and everything like that. And a lot of the times you get along the best with those people because
Yeah.
like you don't maybe make the sacrifice for the country and everything like that. But I
Yeah.
think the the grittiness aspect of it is and the team aspect of it is the biggest thing is finding statehood in a group of people.
Yeah, I
And
think that brotherhood, right? Like that's the
yeah,
biggest, and I think that's kind of the biggest similarity that I'm talking about with like military wise, whether past or present. That's like it's just being around like a motivated group of individuals who are around a group of men who are really driven and like towards a certain goal is, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
empowering. And
and
when you enter that room, you feel it.
with them it was survival and stuff like that too. But it's also victory. I think is always the common denominator between like you look at ancient world and you look at now is like wanting this like the human condition of wanting to be great or wanting to leave an impact or wanting to leave a mark. We obviously live in a society that's developed far past just warring tribes and things like that. But at the end of the day, the glory aspect of it, it's a very like it's a very primitive thing. I think like you look back gladiatorial games, like obviously the stakes are a lot different, but like the Olympics was founded like for a reason, you know, and like the first organized sports were founded for reasons. Like you you see it all the time with people, man. Like um, the human condition to want to excel and want to succeed in athletics and in a physical aspect, I think is something that will never go away. And I think that that's why sports are such a big thing. Is like you know you look at people from all over the place. Like everybody has sports. Like no matter where you were in the world. Like Native Americans had lacrosse, right? Like people don't really change that much, man. Like and the willingness to want to like bring glory and bring victory upon people that you're friends with. Like I think that just never goes away, man. Like it's the same thing that people that have done like time immemorial. Like the same thing.
Yeah. Just winning with the boys. It's just
Just winning
people
with the
just love
boys,
it.
just want to have a good time, and then just celebrating after. I think is really the
Yeah, the
always the
spoils
thing.
of victory.
Like
Yeah.
ancient Vikings, all of them. They're all everyone's the same. Especially like I just think of guys in general. Like guys don't really change. Like all those guys are like, yeah, let's go win this battle and let's drink a bunch of wine after. Like, um, I think it's like so funny, especially reading it now. I'm like, these guys are the same. Like,
Who was your favorite to read about? Because I know you studied history at UB, right, too? So you kind
yeah,
of had a background in that.
I read more history now than I ever did at UB. But I've been down the ancient Rome, you know, the ancient Rome plot for the last like couple months. I've read like 7 books or so. My favorite person to read about is probably Hannibal Barca. Um, I think you know, like history always goes to the victors, but even saying that, like everyone speaks favorably about him for the most part. Even the old Roman historians, Polybius and Livy, those are the people that wrote ancient Rome as primary sources. But yeah, I mean, and that's where I was talking about before is the morale piece of it. Like uh, at the Battle of, I think it was, it might have been Lake Triesme or Trebia. Like he allowed his men to eat breakfast before
Yeah.
they had a battle, and it's like, and that's what got back to me is like morale of the troops, like making sure these guys are in good shape, like to go try and win a battle, like um and that's where I thought about it. I was like, man, like, and I think another thing with him too that always strikes me is he's always being innovative. He's not just like he's winning battles in not strange ways, but ways that were not thought about before. And then he wound up influencing the Roman general Scipio Africanus, and the Romans wound up winning that obviously um, with the Battle of Zama. But yeah, I mean it it's like football, man. Like they had different battle formations, and they were doing different things and experimenting with things. And I think his ability to always change and progress towards for better was something that really set him apart from other generals at the time. And then he wound up influencing other great generals. You look at Napoleon, like he's extremely influenced by Hannibal and extremely influenced by Rome, and things like that. So, and then that's where you get into like present day leadership and warfare tactics and things like that. And warfare tactics always bleed over to sports. So it's just like one never ending like connector into to whatever you're doing, honestly.
Yeah. And where do the warfare tactics come from? Because it's like the like, what do they, is that just they learn that? Obviously, different scenarios, I
Well,
suppose, from different
so
necessities.
like Hannibal had mainly a mercenary army,
Mm.
and then he had a new his biggest his biggest like plus was the Numidian cavalry, which was a like kind of they were in North Africa. They were a like an army that Hannibal recruited, and he went up through Spain and then down the Alps to kind of surprise the Romans and
Mhm.
try and attack Italy from north to south. So he wound up winning a bunch of battles along the I guess it would be the eastern coast of Italy, and then the biggest battle was the Battle of Cannae, um, where he put all of his weaker, his weaker military men at the front of the line, and then they wound up pressing too far in, and then he wound up double enveloping them. Um,
Yep.
so it's about like that. That's the kind of stuff like I think that too that I take from into
It's a
coaching.
screen.
Yeah, he literally a screen. He literally screened the um, but is like, what do I have as a leader? What do I have as a group? What are my strengths? Right, his strengths with the Numidian cavalry. Like, if my left tackle is a strength, how do I put him in a really good position? Um, and where are my weaknesses so that I can know where to attack, like, or where to, prepare myself for the upcoming week. And I think that that's something that, like, just looking throughout from a historical lens is like super interesting. Is like he knew his strengths really well because he knew his men really well. He always,
Yeah,
Hannibal always did was he ate amongst the men. He never wore like
that's
crazy
cool.
crazy clothing or anything. Like, he was one of the guys. And I think that that's something too, like when you look at great leadership, great coaches in general, I think a lot of times that shows up too in the coaching profession. um, like never being above the guys, being one of the guys, to an extent. Obviously there's the professionalism part of it, but um, I think when it comes to stuff like that, is like you learn a lot from these guys, is like on just a leadership piece of um, just leading human beings. And I think that's something that I definitely took from him in particular. Just reading him over the last, I guess, couple months.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm with you. I kind of have you read The Art of War by Sun Tzu? That
I
was
That's when I started to get more into my Asian history.
yeah.
Like I'll dabble into that a little bit more. I've briefly read Miyoto Musashi, just
Okay.
because I've been on my Rome kick, but um, I'm definitely going to wind up reading him. I know Bill Belichick is famous for reading that as well.
Oh, is
Um,
he? Okay.
Bill Belichick mentions Sun Tzu a lot in like team meetings. If you look up, there's some clips of him talking about it. Um, but and like I think that's and like I said, it's Bill Belichick, the best one ever. Like being well rounded,
Yeah.
like having an understanding of like, hey, like what can I take from different time periods? What can I take from different things like that will make me great at what I'm doing? Um, we're reading Legacy, the All Blacks, and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So sweep the sheds, stuff, things like of that nature. I think are really like, what can I take from other successful people, whether that be success in war or whether that be success in business. And I think that's one thing that I definitely got from reading more nonfiction recently than I read a lot of fiction too, um, but I think one of the things that made me better this year is like some personal development, was learning a lot more about just different topics.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that I think that's what they say separates wisdom from knowledge is learning from other people's experiences and failures and applying it to your life rather than learning it only from your own. And I think that's the cool thing about history is you get to learn such a wide variety of whatever you want to learn about, but it's you get to learn about they all
People,
relate to what you're doing now. Yeah, people.
it's really, and that's what coaching is. Coaching is people. Um,
Mhm.
Coaching is people, and like all of this stuff that even talking about, like that may seem unrelated to football, is it's just it's at the end of the day, history is really a big study of people,
Mhm.
and decisions and what makes you great. Um, and I think you learn from historical lens because you have hindsight. Um, like you see the after effects. Like now, you make a decision and you don't see the after effects of that until months or years in the future. And it's like, how can I use history as an influence on what I'm doing now? Because um, there's not there's it's like kind of like a numerical like value to it. It's like a percentages say like this worked in the past, it may well work in the future. Um, so I think that's what I've been trying to, be on that journey for.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's so after Roman, is that the Asian history or
Now
military history, or what's your
I'll be
next avenue?
doing I'll be doing Rome, and then I'll be doing the Anglo Saxons. There's a period of history in that the Plantagenets. I'll be reading the War of the Roses, which is what inspired Game of Thrones. A lot of it.
What time period is this?
This is like so the Anglo-Saxon book I have is 400 to 1100, um, and then the Plantagenets is around 1100 middle. It's like Middle Ages, and then the War of the Roses is right after that or during that. Um, I don't know enough about it to talk about it yet, but I've got like probably like 6 7 books on those, and then after that
That sounds cool.
I'll move into like feudal Japan, and um, then I'll probably dabble in World War II a little bit.
There's so much like once you start getting out of, I mean, it sounds like
I
you're the
know.
same way as me. There's so much to read. Like I have so many books that I'm like, I'm gonna buy these 3 books, but I still have to wait for to read these four
I,
or whatever it is. Like I just got
I
stacks of books.
I've read like I still have I'm reading Rubicon right now, which is about
Yeah.
Julius Caesar
Mm-hmm.
when he crossed the
Rustler.
Rubicon
Yeah.
and then fought the civil war with Pompey and Crassus, like the first triumvirate and all that. So I still have so much more Roman history. I'm listening to an audiobook about Julius Caesar as well. Um, and then I'm moving on to, you know, moving on from there to go to Anglo Saxons. But I think what I'm finishing Rome with is I'm going to read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, that's a great one. I
Um,
tell a lot of people to read that.
so I'll finish with that one, I think, just because otherwise I'm going to be going down this Rome rabbit hole for um, quite some time. um, and then I'll wind up coming back to it, probably reading Fall of Rome and things like that. But Anglo Saxons kind of takes me there because Rome collapsed in around 400, so they plays directly into it. Like so a fun historical fact is that there's something called Hadrian's Wall that's built in Britain that was
Yeah.
built by the Emperor Hadrian, um, and I always think that's funny is that they made it that far north, and then it goes right into the Anglo Saxons and the creation of the monarchy, and then eventually over time the parliamentary system with the Magna Carta and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting how, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole of the fall of Rome like a few months ago. Um, and because my Latin teacher right now would be so happy to listen to this, but I for like 5 years I studied, so like everything you're talking about, it was just like drilled into my brain from Romulus and Remus to like the fall and all of Roman history. So then like learning different aspects and the Anglo-Saxon, I haven't looked like I've that was kind of part of the fall of Rome that I looked into, and then even the Troy, the relationship from Troy to London, um, and after that, and it's
Yeah, with
interesting
like
how,
Aeneas, the Trojan
yeah,
soldier that fled to Rome. Rome's backstory is also so convoluted. It's like
yeah, it's wild.
they're they started as with Romulus and Remus. Most people say it's fictional. Most there's no historical backing a ton besides for the legends. Um, but it is really interesting to see how different foundings and different histories there are, like, and how they all play a role in like basically the development of America and things like that as well. Um, like we're a republic, like Rome was a republic for a long time and then it became a dictatorship for a super long time. But yeah, I just actually just finished a Storm Before the Storm. That was a really good one about the kind of the how Rome went from being a republic for a super long time until like kind of teetering on like becoming a dictatorship. That's where I've kind of been at now. Um, so it's super interesting. You learn so much, whether it be football or just how people are in general, and like how things repeat themselves and things like that too. But
It's funny you read a book like, about history and then you like think about somebody and you're like, wait, that's like the same parallel. It's like this is that guy. Like it's just I don't know, but history's cool, man.
No, it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's good too because like with the jujitsu part of it and with the reading, it's like it kind of just takes you out of like what you have to do sometimes, um, just by like reading and everything like that. Then you wind up attributing it to things that you like work wise that you have to do, and I think that's been what I've had fun with doing with this year more finding new passions. Um, there's
What about if
been
somebody doesn't know what the like? What if they don't know what their passions are? I feel like a lot of people are like that, where they don't even know like where to start, like looking. Like, how do you go about that? Because you clearly have a few.
I think like trying new things, like you don't know what your passion is going to be. And me and my fiance talk about this all the time is like, because she sings and everything like that.
Mhm.
And it's like finding what your passion is such a challenging thing for a lot of people nowadays is like, because you sometimes you're handcuffed by situations and everything like that. And then you don't get the freedom to maybe like try your hand in different passions. I think one of the things that I always try to tell people is like, you won't know until you actually try and do something with it. Like it's like you may like skiing, like you may be an incredible skier, but you don't know that you're gonna enjoy that unless you do it. Like I think finding small things, and I think sometimes people think it's like this big commitment sometimes to finding your passion. It's like you do things a couple times and you're like, wow, I really like this. Like, and obviously there's a financial piece of it too, is like sometimes you can't always chase your passions for a financial reason, but at the end of the day I think the more you do chase your passion and the more you do find and try different things, the more you wind up finding financial success in the long run. um, like I would have never known I would have loved coaching until I actually did it. Like it's taking a leap of faith, I think, a lot of the time. I think and it's easier said than done. Obviously it's like, okay, like I'm working a job like that pays me X amount of dollars, and like I feel comfortable. It's like I think there's always a neutral ground. There's always a middle type of thing where, like try it, man. Like who knows? Like work different jobs, do different things. I mean, you're a great example of that. Like you've done so many different jobs and you've tried your hand in so many different avenues, and obviously you didn't stray that far from what you probably wanted to do in the first place, but you wouldn't have known you would have been in this position without trying a bunch of different things. And I think you're a good kind of barometer for that, is like try your hand in different things, man. Like go have different passions, like do different things, be around different people, be around different areas, like travel, do things. Like don't be comfortable just doing what everybody else is doing. Like have fun. And like not to be too philosophical, but like you really only get to do this one time. Like you might as well try a bunch of different stuff while you're here. Like so I think that's something that even myself, like I can continue to do. Like and with
Yeah.
with us working together too, is like I like salad now, but um because we work together, like I would have never realized like, hey, I probably don't hate salad as much as I probably thought I did. I tried it. So there's little things, there's micro. I think you finding your passion isn't about doing this grand big step. It's about taking a bunch of little steps. And we talk about it in the O-line room a lot. See a little, see a lot, see a lot, see nothing. Um, are you worried about you know, like the analogy I always give my players is like, are you focused at the top of, so say you put a trophy at the top of a staircase, right? Are you looking at the trophy, or are you looking at each individual step that it takes to get there? And I think that goes along with passions as well, is like, am I thinking like what's my passion, but missing the steps along the way to finding what that is? I think is something that I definitely like I use in my life all the time. um, if it be like just reading or doing jujitsu, like what at the end of the day, everybody's main really trophy is happiness. So as long as I worry about the steps it takes to get to my happiness, and they may be different steps that you didn't think plan on taking, but they always end in a result. I think. Um, like for me too, like I met my fiance in New York. Like if I didn't get on this coaching journey, and I talked to my mom about this a couple of days ago, like if I didn't get on this coaching journey, like I would never met her, you know, like I would have never found her or anything like that. So like inadvertently, my process led me to somebody that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And I think that that goes along with just about anything, coaching, um, jobs, anything like that. I think is always like just be process driven. Like worry about the steps. Like don't worry about the end result.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I know this is for me and a decent amount of people I talk to, but like you kind of know like if things feel right or not. You know what I mean? Like, and that
Yeah,
comes down to the happiness as well. But like intuitively, if you need to take the leap. You're like, man, I don't like this. Like, I'm interested in this. Like, at least take the at bats. I think what you were saying about kind of my process was like I didn't always. I would like to like when I'm entering something, I'd like to think like in the past, I whatever 5+ jobs after college. I'd like to think each one. I'm like, all right, I'm like this is gonna be what I want to do. But like I'm entering it with a mindset that I want to go in successfully. But then you understand that you're also just like baseball wise, you're just taking at bats. Like you're just taking at
yeah.
bats, you're learning. And then that to now I finally reached something where I'm confident, like this is my thing. And all those other past experiences all led to where I am now. And same with you. Like obviously your past experiences and everything you've done has led to where you are now and your happiness. And then it's gonna be the same in 5 years. It's crazy how that goes when you kind of just like trust and take the leap. I feel like life opens up once you do that.
100%. It's like and then for some reason if football doesn't work out, it's still putting me on a path to do what I'm supposed to do anyways.
Of
Like
course.
just being not content, but like being like present in a situation, I think is always the most important. Like, because at, at the like at the end of the day, everyone's just out there doing their best.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, like everyone's just trying their best. Everyone's trying to achieve something. Like, um, whether it be fitness, whether it be health or anything, and like just like you said, just take a leap, man. Like it doesn't take a lot to just try something.
Yeah. It's like that's a cool thing about a lot of passions too. Like whether it's playing guitar or jujitsu or reading or whatever it may be, lifting for the first time, like you can just like it's not that high risk. Like you can go
I know.
try. Or skiing, like whatever you're saying, like there's so many things that you can like go do. And I think sometimes the more we think of it, the harder it is to do it. Like it's like the paralysis or the analysis by paralysis, whatever, however that goes, it like the overthinking is real for so many people because they see it all online. Oh, I gotta do this, and then they're like, ah, maybe tomorrow, and then it just keeps happening. And I see
Like
that with so many people with weight loss. Yeah,
I like funny you bring up guitar. Like I learned guitar, like and that kind of it might seem like something really micro, but like if I didn't start playing guitar, I don't know if I would ever gotten into coaching. Like it sounds roundabout, but like it was COVID and my ankle was all messed up, but it gave me purpose for like a little bit where I felt like like I wanted to get better at it. So then it rekindled drive in me to try and do something and achieve something. And I always thought that was a big reason why I wound up like getting back into coaching too, is like guitar has nothing to do with football, zero. But the willingness and the want um to be better at something led me to getting into football. It's like I said, it seems really like different spheres away, but that in itself really helped me, like mentally, like at a time when like things were really up in the air for me, and my career was in a weird flux, like, and my life was like kind of in this weird place, like where I was like kind of in between football and like kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, like so whether it be something completely related or not, like it always comes back like to what you're supposed to do anyways.
yeah. It's funny how it works out. All right, man. Well, you got anything else you want to cover? I feel like that was a great
No,
conversation.
I just I'm proud of you, man. Like
No, I
you're
appreciate it.
not just like you obviously you've helped me in my journey and trying to be the most active person I can be, but I mean, I think you really do a great job with helping other people get passionate about stuff, like, because like I said with the guitar thing, right? Like you helping whoever on a weight loss journey, maybe that sparks something in their life that's completely unrelated to, you know, what they want to do, and it winds up making their life better. And I think that's being a coach. Like it's always about making things better, leaving things better than you found it. And I think that's something that like you're doing now, and I'm extremely excited for your future with this entire podcasting journey, with the the weight management for people journey. Like I think that's definitely something that you can probably hold your head high for, and kind of helping people go.
Yeah, man, it's been cool, and it's like I don't know, so much of it like we talked about today was learning, and like a lot of it learned. Like I remember staying with you, and on winter break, I don't know if it was like 2017 or something, like staying at South Lake for like a week or two and just like learning um and like your habits and stuff. And like that was something that was like even I was seeing that today. I was like, like that stuff, I don't know. Like those connections and like that help from people is like what it's all about. And it's like I was talking to people this weekend. Um and they're like, man, you gotta like create some like plans for this or that so you can just start selling them. But I was like, man, like that's not what I do. Like I'm not like some epic plan creator. Like I'm somebody who like I like talking to the guys. That's why I like to do FaceTimes or Zooms with you and everybody else. Is because that's something I enjoyed with football. And when I was a coach and a player, I want to like connect and know the person. Because if I don't know what's going on, if I don't know you have jujitsu, or I don't know you got your leg checked, or you're going to some wedding, like then how am I supposed to like the plan's not gonna work. That doesn't matter. Like if you if you can't adjust to life, like that doesn't, nothing else, like it's not gonna work. So no, it's so much of what I've learned, and a lot of it was thanks to you. Because man, you were like, yeah, you were the biggest mentor for me. And then guys would, it's funny now, guys, I go to UV, right? And I was helping them watch film, and then like I'm telling them how to watch yourself, how to watch your opponent, and they think I'm like some film master. I'm like I learned like I learned everything I learned. I got the UB. I didn't know all I knew how to block down on power. That was the only thing I knew about O line, and like
Pittsburgh Panthers.
yeah, if it's 24 power, let's go. I knew how to do that, and it was like learning from you, and being able to pass that on to other people has been really fun too. And even like this weekend, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like it's not, I don't specialize in O-line or anything, but I have my base knowledge, and then being able to pass things on or just habits is, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
fun.
it like we said before with the history thing, but it's that connecting string with everybody. Is like I impact your lives, you impact other lives, and then in turn wind up coming back around and impacting my life in a positive way. So I think it's just the human string, like the human connection. It's always like coaching, warfare, all of it. So
Yeah, man. It's a small world, so you never know what's gonna happen.
literally,
But all right, Jimmy. Well, I appreciate it. Everyone, check out. I'm trying to figure out if I got any spot like like younger guys if they're looking for you. I'm sure they can find you on social media. I'll attach it when I post the podcast and everything.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Anybody
they
wants to
got
follow
huddle highlights.
my
Send them to Coach Jimmy.
my Twitter and my Instagram are always James O'Hagan 285. So
Oh,
my
perfect.
high school wrestling weight class.
I was about to say that's the heavyweight weight class right there.
but no, thanks for having me. This is fun. Kind of flew
Of course.
by. I can't believe we've been on here for like over an hour.
No, I enjoyed it. I was like, I don't know what's going on. So, well,
Yeah, absolutely. But appreciate you for having me on, Jack.
of course, we'll have to do it again. Well, I gotta get some like round table sometime, so
Yeah, get
got a
around a
crew.
table and some of the other fatties.
You're not, you're lean. People are gonna see that after picture in the next month or two. It'll be cool.
Yeah, I know. I did not do great this weekend. I will be the first to admit, but I'm
So
back in my.
we were back in the 50s. I was like, what is this guy doing?
I, no, I my sister had her engagement party, so and then now I'm back at
All right.
work now, so I'm all locked in again.
Like people don't know that. It's okay. Like it's not a straight linear downward thing. Some guys are like, oh, I'm up 2 pounds, I'm up 3 pounds. Like it's okay, man. It'll be all right. But all right, dude. Well, I
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
you. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, later.
All right. See ya.